Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Knicks Recap and Reaction Show. A lot to talk about, I think. My name is Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen. I'm your host, joined by my co-host, Geoff Klafter from the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog. The Knicks are rolling. 5 straight wins. They beat Portland at Madison Square Garden. I believe it was 127-97. The defense is improving. Even if you just look at over the last 5, or even if you want to stretch it out to 10 games, the defense is really improving, and we'll talk about it more during the show, whether this is just a factor of the opponents that we're playing. I don't think so. Do I need to see more? I do, but I do think it's trending in the right direction. Love the ball movement last night, the player movement. The next 4 games are gonna really let us know who this team is. It's been Jekyll and Hyde all season. We'll get a better sense over the next 4 games starting Sunday with the Lakers. But Geoff, how are you? And what did you see last night overall? And then we'll get into the nitty gritty.
The vibes are good. I mean, you had we got off to the hot start in the first quarter and set the tone, I thought, for the game pretty well. And then we kind of sleptwalked through the second quarter and let them creep back in. And then in the third quarter, it was just like, okay, we're going to put the pedal to the metal, and we're not going to. We're going to deny everything, and we're not going to let this team beat us. I love the fact that, during our 2-9 stretch, 30-point quarters were the regular. Last night we didn't give up a single 30-point quarter, so I think you're seeing a definite turnaround. And I think part of it with me is frustration, because it's like, okay, this team is obviously capable of defending. That means that they were choosing not to, right? It's one thing to say, oh, this team's weaknesses, they can't play defense. Those things are clearly false, right? Because now we've seen them play defense, and it is a 5-game stretch, but it's still a 5-game stretch of allowing teams under 100 points 4 of those times. And, and so the capability is there. That means that the want to and the follow through on the schemes is what hasn't been there. And so from that point, it was a frustration, but it looks like they're figuring it out. And so we're on a hot streak right now. I don't know that we're as good as we've played the last 5 games, and I don't think we're as bad as we were during the 2-9 stretch. But I mean, overall, I still kind of question, do championship level teams have a 7-9 month of January? I'm not sure the answer to that question is yes. So I'm not ready to jump back out the window. Let's just put it that way for a championship. I still need to see more. There's more for this team to do. We still have the trade deadline to see what happens. I don't know if those rumors just dissipate into nothingness, or if, with the 5-game winning streak, I don't know if they decide to pump the brakes to the off season. Like, I don't know that the front office maybe has as much urgency when they're when it looks like they're starting to figure it out. I'm not sure if they have or not yet, completely. So, but very encouraging signs of what we saw last night overall. I'm really happy with how we played. It was a comfortable win. It was, it's nice to have a stress-free fourth quarter, against a team that you're obviously better than, that's injured and is struggling, and you took care of business. And that's what you want to see. Kind of like you said, though, I'm really curious how, when LeBron and Austin Reeves and Luka come to town, if the defense is able to maintain the same level of intensity that it did, last night.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking good. I'm with you in terms of, needing to see more over a longer stretch of time. I don't think the front office should make decisions based on this 5-game winning streak. And you can argue that they shouldn't make decisions based on the 2-9 stretch that the Knicks were on. I think they have to look at the season as a whole, what they've seen so far, talk to Mike Brown, um, maybe get into some lineup data, maybe get into how he likes to play and whether he feels he has the players to play the system that he wants, and also just take a look around in terms of the other teams in the Eastern Conference, the teams in the Western Conference. How does this team match up? So my point is that what they do at the trade deadline should not be a knee-jerk reaction based on a few stretches of the season. Like they really need to, as a front office, and I'm pretty sure they will, sit down and with everybody and just have a really good powwow, about whether or not this team can win a championship. And that's the question. And is there anything they can do this offseason that makes sense? Right? Whole lot of other factors in terms of the cap and maintaining flexibility, particularly for a team you don't know if you swing for the fences, right? So I'm pretty sure all of that will be taken into consideration. I think they're pretty smart. I view Dolan as a little impulsive. I can be off in that respect and attributing something to him that's not true. But I think if he's not in the meeting, I think the Knicks will be fine. To your point, the defense to the eye test has looked better. I haven't got a chance to like break down every single opponent. There are some teams in that 10-game stretch that just weren't good. The Nets, Portland, Sacramento. But remember, those were teams that we made look really good because our defense was so poor in the past, right? And now, we're not allowing their best player to come in and drop 40. JJ said it in the chat. Let me see if I can get to that comment, about OG shutting Denny down. It's what I've been asking from him and love seeing him. Love seeing it. Yeah, he was phenomenal in that respect. And I think, yeah, if you have a team coming in and you only have one great player, two great, like, come on, like you can't take him out the game and force somebody else to beat you. So Shaden Sharp did his thing last night, but it wasn't Shaden Sharp, and Denny and some no name that we don't know about. So I think the defense is trending in the right direction. I was telling Geoff before we went on, opponent 3-point percentage is third over the last 10 games. They're holding teams to 33.1% shooting. Now, to get a better sense of that, you would have to go through those 10 teams and just see, were they good 3-point shooting teams anyway, But still, poor 3-point shooting teams would come in and kill us. And opponent field goal percentage over the last 10, 44.1%. Number one in defensive rating over the last 10, 15 in offensive rating over the last 10. Something I'm a little concerned about, however, encouraged in terms of what I've seen offensively over the past few games, in terms of the ball movement, player movement, Brunson not dominating the ball, getting others involved. Mikal Bridges went to the line again, 3 free throws. Like, this is, if this is him being coachable, I'm all for it. I'm just not one, and I think I'm on a hill by myself here. I'm not one who feels that a top 5 defense and like a 16th or 17th ranked offense is going to get you there. I think in today's NBA, you have to be able to shoot the ball, make shots, have offensive players that can put pressure on the defense, because it's just really hard to just rely on your defense to shut a team down. It needs to be good. Don't get me wrong. We can argue about whether it needs to be top 10, top 12, what have you. but your offense has to be, you got to have a decent offense as well. But I do like the way the defense is trending, because it was just untenable before that, before this current stretch. Geoff, where do you want to go next?
Well, I do want to say one other thing about what, to piggyback off of what you were talking about in a little bit. The first is that the communication defensively is the major change, right? They're talking more, they're active more, but it starts with the talking and being heads up and being alert. And Tumani Kamara, I think is his name, is one of their better scorers, and he had the donut for most of that. He might have hit a late bucket in garbage time, I don't know, but for the when the game was in hand, he didn't do anything. And Denny Avida looked like he was struggling with some physical ailments. He didn't look like himself. He didn't look like the player that we saw when we played them last time in Portland, in my opinion. But hey, that's his problem, right? That's not a Knicks issue. So good job by us. I think the place I want to start though is with Josh Hart. Like, he loves to play against his former team. This is the second time he's really, in my opinion, had an outstanding showcase against his former team, and I thought he was a critical piece to us taking advantage of Portland's defense. I thought he got a lot of open looks last night. I think he could have shot the ball more. Actually, I thought he had 4 or 5 wide open opportunities at the top of the key where I wanted him to shoot, and he kind of deferred and tried to drive instead. But his aggressiveness and his assertiveness helped us out a lot. I think that, he was a big reason why we had 29 assists, which is right there in line. I think it's my guy David Smith is always talking about how good we are, 12-1 or whatever it is, when we have 30 assists or more. Well, we were right at that line again. And you talking about the offense, that's 2 games in a row, I think, that the offense has started to round into shape. And so, you take it a little bit at a time. I think that I agree with you in the Philly and Sacramento games. The offense was a complete disaster, a horror show, whatever you want to call it. It was not good. We still have some things to figure out. I think the cat freezing out is still happening to a certain extent. I saw a couple of possessions last night where he was kind of calling for the ball, and even Diawara looked him off, and I was like, wait a minute, and Mo hit the 3, I think, on that possession, but at the same time, it's like, hey, Rook, get the get the big man the ball. And then there was another possession, he was cutting down the lane, he was open, and they missed him too. And maybe those 2 possessions are standing out more than they should, but I feel like we need to do a better job of getting Towns looks in the paint, but looks, period. But he's got to finish some of those looks in the paint, as JJ rightfully pointed out too. So,
yeah, great points. I am encouraged, Geoff, by what I've seen from the offense, because if we can get our offense clicking, even if it's not to the level it was to start this season, but it can get clicking and that defense continues to trend up, I would be really, really happy with this, with this team. Again, shout out to DJ Shuttle, who joined us. Appreciate you, bro. I will be down in Barbados in August of 2026. DJ Shuttle and a few other DJs will be. What is it? The Soul. Put it in the chat for us. Where you'll be playing. But I'm definitely there for that 4-day resort weekend to see DJ Shuttle and the other DJs do their thing. As far as Cat is concerned, he's always been engaged. He's knocking off the fouls. I think he might have had 1 or 2 last night. He didn't have any the night before. Taking less 3-pointers. I don't know how I feel about that. Just moving a little closer, more so than decreasing your shots. But he's looking good. He's looking good, and defensively, he's looking better. I do think the Knicks still are making some defensive mistakes here and there. Like there was a time Josh Hart was on the other side of the court and he ran to double because Brunson was in the post. So he ran from the opposite wing to the opposite post to help on a double team and then gave up a three at the top of the key. I'm like, that cannot be the rotation. Like it just can't be. So he does that every now and again. But I think we're used to like one or two boneheaded plays from Josh Hart on either the offensive or defensive, defensive end. But he was good last night. And I do want to say about the defense, remember, the last game we were without both Mitch and Deuce in that Raptors game, right? Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And then last night we were without Deuce. So just imagine when Deuce gets back, in terms of
and Mitch didn't have a great game either. We were without Deuce and Mitch. In other words, I wouldn't say.
No, I'm kidding.
I wouldn't say that Mitch was the reason our defense was locked down last night. I'm not going to criticize him too much, but I thought that we played great defense because we were solid at the point of attack. Credit Landry Shamet. Credit Mikal Bridges, right? Bridges has done a much better job at the point of attack these last two games. And credit to OG Anunoby, who he's back, right? That this is the demon that we're used to on defense. And so I think that, and also credit Brunson and Cat for getting in there and stepping up. I mean, Towns cleaning the glass, 20 rebounds for the second game in a row. That's finishing a possession. That's part of defense, but he's done a much better job, as you said, not fouling, getting in position, using his length and his frame properly on defense. And Mike Brown credited Jalen Brunson's defense. So, I don't think that's lip service. I don't think that he would have, I think he would have just not said anything if he didn't think that Brunson wasn't doing a good job. And so, yeah, very encouraging signs. Did look like we were the team with the gun, and they brought a knife to the fight. So I'm curious to see, as you said, when we're facing these heavyweights the next week, does the defense hold up, or do cracks in the armor start to show up?
And I mean, listen, I don't think any of us are expecting the Knicks to hold those teams under 100 points. Right. It's going to be a mix between the offense and the offense and the defense. So I'm interested to see if the defense holds up against the next slate of games over the next few games. But I'm also looking to see the Knicks offense, because I feel like, the Knicks are top 3 in offensive rating. They're an offensive juggernaut, yada, yada, yada. But when you watch them against these tough teams and they take away that first and second option, the Knicks offense to me grinds to a halt. And so
we saw that last night, even like you saw that in the second quarter last night. So that's not, we had 127 points last night, but absolutely 100%. You could tell you're in the field where you help people, because the diagnosis is spot on.
Yeah. So I just feel like you could talk about offensive potential, but you got to be able to take advantage of your potential. You got to be able to process the game. And I've talked about this before. You got to be able to dissect what you need. You got to be able to, this is what they're taking away. And this offense is so diverse. We can go here, and we have, players that can do different things. So maybe we're going to go to Cat in the post. Maybe we're going to clear out for Brunson. Maybe we, the mismatches over here with OG in the post, we're going to go like that is just not there for the Knicks. So we could talk about their offensive potential, but I'm really looking at their process offensively, game in and game out, and I'm just not as sold. Not that it can't be a great offense. I'm just not sold on their ability to take advantage of everything they have. And I hope that grows over the course of the season. And I'll be looking at that against these tougher opponents as well. It's easy to look good when you're playing a team that's not taking anything away, and you can get whatever you want, right? So I think we got the Lakers, and then we got, not in any particular order, Detroit, Denver, Boston next week and the Lakers Saturday. So super excited about seeing our Knicks over this stretch. Anything else you want to talk about?
It's, I think that the Jordan Clarkson being glued to the bench when everybody else played is a fascinating thing to discuss, in my opinion. Like, he has really fallen out of favor and off the map and into the doghouse. I mean, it's got to be, right? I mean, literally everyone else but Clarkson played, so you kind of wonder if maybe his days in New York are short. With his lack of defense and I guess not providing enough on the offensive end to justify his minutes. Found it really fascinating. And Diawara, wow, Mo D had a big game for limited minutes, but 10 points, really looked good, really up the level of the defense. Big body, who active and moves his feet, not easy to get around. It has a little bit of a handle. I'm not super impressed with it, but he's not afraid to put the ball on the deck. Biggest stretch of minutes he's had in a while, and he and Kolek were a big part of the win last night. So kudos to the young guys for taking the DNPs but staying ready.
Exactly. And kudos to Mike Brown too. He mixes it up over the course of a season, right? He'll go 8 if he needs to go 8, and it's kind of like where we are now. If there's no injuries, and you need to tighten it up because you're not playing that well, and he does that, and then you start playing well and maybe loosens it up a little bit, and in the beginning playing different rotations to see what he had, different lineups to see what he had. If there's injuries, if Mitch can't play, maybe I'll go with more Yabo this game. Maybe I'll bring in Huck Porty. McBride is out. I'm not going to increase Clarkson's minute. I'm going to go with I just like the way he tightens it up when it needs to be tightened up, loosens it up when it needs to be loosened up. And because he's played so many lineups, he's very familiar with these players by now. And so when someone is injured, he knows who he wants to go to fill in that spot, because he's seen them. He's seen them not just in tiny minutes, but he has a pretty good sample size on Diawara, right? On Kolek, on Huck Porty, to decide what he wants to do if he needs them situationally, and they just for the most part respond when they're called on.
Yeah, 2 good games in a row for Tyler Kolek, though. That's definitely an encouraging sign. Really playing out of his mind again, back to what he was in that in the Spurs, in that first Spurs game, the Cup game, when he really gave us a big boost and a big lift. So I'm really happy with his play. And I wonder, this is his first real season of getting minutes. I wonder if he kind of hit, we call it the rookie wall, but I know he's a sophomore, but I wonder if he kind of hit the rookie wall a little bit, where he wasn't used to get it, because he only played like 20 some odd games as a rookie, so I'm wondering if maybe that increased minutes load and playing that many games, kind of, wore him out for a minute, and then he had that little bit of a stretch where he didn't play, and now he's back to rested and playing it to his peak capability again.
Yeah, for sure. I between Kolek and Diawara, I would be okay with any one of them. I don't know if we have room for both without. I would be okay with any one of them getting, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 minutes a game. I do like what Diawara can bring, like you said, in terms of his length and his athleticism. I just think that he's very confident, put it that way. And you can't really get on someone for being confident, but I just wish he would just come in and stick to the basics. And I know, and obviously if there's an open shot that presents itself, absolutely you should take it. But if he was somebody like when McCullough comes in and he plays to his strengths and he limits his weaknesses. And if you give him an open shot, he's going to take it. But he comes in with the energy and the hustle and just being what and I could see Diawara being phenomenal in a role like that. But then with him, because he's so confident, you got to live with the other stuff, like what kind of shot was that, and why did So anyway, I'm not gonna go too deeply into it because he's a young player who's confident in himself.
I'm curious what it would look like with he and Diawara and Deuce on the floor at the same time. I think that would be an interesting combination defensively, especially. So it's something that you have in your bag if you need it. It's not something I want to see 20 minutes a game by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think it'd be fun to kind of see that versatility, maybe with Mitch in there too, where you just go with a long, strong defensive lineup with maybe one or two, facilitators on the floor, kind of to if you need to shut a team down for a stretch like they're really hot. I think that would be interesting. Of course, I don't know how you would get a bucket on the other end with those three guys in the lineup. I don't know. It's the same problem the Knicks always have, right? They don't have two things that match. They have their defensive lineups and their offensive lineups rarely are it's like a Venn diagram that doesn't have much of an intersection. So, but last night was better. The competition wasn't great, but again, trending upwards. So that's a positive.
Oh, sorry, Jeff.
It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can only beat who's on your schedule. Portland came in. I think they had lost 3 straight coming into the game, if I'm not mistaken. But remember, those teams would still give the Knicks issues. We would lose to some of those teams. So, a good sign of a good team is taking care of your business, not playing with your food, and really getting on and having, like Jeff said, a comfortable win against a team that's not good. And that's what the Knicks did last night. Bridges didn't shoot well. I think he was 3 for 10 overall, but he went to the line 3 times. And I think that's just telling you something about, where his mindset is right now. And you don't have to shoot well to play well. So I liked what I saw from Bridges last night. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I mean, he wasn't going to shoot I think it was 12 of 15 the game before that, and 9 of 12 the game before that, or something crazy like that. So he wasn't going to shoot 75% the rest of the season. So, I think some of that is just, returning to earth, so to speak. But I was actually, I didn't really care about his lack of efficiency last night because I thought he was really on point on the defensive end. Thought he played a really good game. He had point of attack defense. Now they don't really have a guard who can get by you, in their lineup right now. A lot of their offense runs through Avdija, and he was clearly, a shell of himself. But Kamari didn't even look like he was on the floor for most of the night. So whoever was on him, and I think it was Bridges most of the time, I'd have to go back and look to be sure. I mean, you have to give credit for that, and good on him. And but again, he and Anunoby are the keys to this team. When those two play really well, this is a really difficult team to stop. When they disappear into the hedges as they do from time to time, we're not a very good team. So they're the X factors, as you say, the keys to getting us going. And Anunoby was terrific last night, and defensively I thought Bridges was good. So when that happens, and you can survive a night where Cat again didn't shoot the ball well, but phenomenal on the rebounding end, and Deuce wasn't there. So that's the thing. We could play defense even without Deuce's defense. We've seen it the last 2 games. So, it's got to continue. You can't be that's something that you have to bring your lunch pail every night and do. That can't be an optional, oh, we're feeling good, or the emotions are good, everything's kumbaya, so we're going to play defense. Get out there and play defense the way that you're capable of. Make it a habit. Make it something that is the staple and identity of your team. And if defense is the identity of your team, you're always going to be in games because you could always get stops. When offense is the identity of your team and you're not shooting well, there's nothing else you could fall back on and rely on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I don't think we're going to be a top 5 defense like we've been the last, but to me, the sweet spot is 8-8. If we can be a top 8 offense and a top 8 defense, I think that's enough. Both ways, that's enough to really be an elite team. I don't know that we're there or even that we'll get there, but I think that if it was me, that would be the goal, is 8-8, and I think that's going to have your net rating where it needs to be. That's going to put the pressure on teams to on both ends of the floor, and so that's what I'm looking for as we move in to the All-Star break here, this next stretch, which is going to be really tough. We play 7 games in 11 days, and a lot of them against good teams. So it's going to be a grind.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, if the Knicks are able to pull that off, I will say though, your defense is going to look different against different teams, right? I mean, if you're playing a really, really good team, you could be doing the same things and just not getting the same results. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks team defense is, because when you're talking about Brunson and Cat, it's really about team defense. Like, you just really want them to be where they're supposed to be. You want Brunson to fight over the screens instead of die on the screens. Things that just do what you can to help the team, and then you hope those other guys who are defensive players really show up on the defensive end. But if they show up and Cat and Brunson are not even playing team defense, like, it makes those guys look bad. Like, you got to be where you're supposed to be. That gives them an opportunity to recover if they're picked off, So let's see how it goes. We're going to play really, really good teams. So we're going to get a really good sense of what the Knicks defense is. And let's not be disappointed if they don't hold those guys to those teams to under 100 points, right? I think you have to just kind of watch not just look at the score itself, but just kind of watch the game and just see,
But I thought the defense was good against Philly, and we gave up like 109. So if it's kind of one of those things you can tell you're seeing it when you're looking at it. It's like we'll be able to tell if they're just matador, or the effort and the grind and everything is there. I think that Mike Brown said in the post game that we got every single one of the 50-50 balls last night against Portland. And that's maximum effort. That's defense. That's that's really what you're talking about when you can dominate those loose balls, and that means you're playing harder than the opponent. You want it more. You're making the extra effort and playing on a string, and that's what they've done the last 10 games, in my opinion, on the defensive end.
They have, Jeff. They have. But what I'm saying is, certain teams make it easier than others to do that. So let's just see. I think the Philly game was good. I'm not taking anything away from the Knicks. I feel like the defense is trending in the right direction. I think Philly was a good win, but I think these other teams, the more good teams that you have, the larger the sample size against good teams, that's going to tell you really where this team is defensively. And so we shall. We shall see, but it's looking good. I'm just making the point that the opponent,
and a valid one at that. I think that's absolutely 100% true. And it looks like Reeves might be back for the Lakers, and it looks like, and we know that the Joker is back for Denver. So, the Madison Square Garden doesn't even have to work its magic for Jokic, but it's gonna. And I think that Denver game is the second game of a back-to-back, and then we have one day between. Then we have a day off Detroit, a day off Boston, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not certain about the second and Sunday, Monday, but I think it's Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday though on the schedule, which is it's a gauntlet. Not a lot of travel, but a lot of good teams.
Yeah, for sure. The Knicks shot well last night, despite Bridges, Brunson, and Shamet not shooting well. 48.5% overall, 42.2% from three. 7 players were in double figures last night, and as we talked about, great ball and player movement last night, and obviously 29 assists, and that's part of ball movement. But that's also part shot making, as well. Anything else? The bench 33 to 48 last night without Deuce getting the contributions from Diawara. I think had 10. Kolek had 13. I think that was good. And the Knicks took 18 more shots. 18 more shots than Portland, and was more efficient than they were. And there you go with 127.
Portland's really loose with the ball, very sloppy. They desperately need a point guard on that team. They gave the ball away a ton, like, and unforced. Is just like, it's almost like they were playing for New York. Some of those passes, I was like, and we needed them too. I made a mental note of it. There was one sequence where we stole the ball and Brunson couldn't decide if he was going to dunk it or lay it up, and he blew the layup. And then they came back down and hit a 3, and it cut the lead. It was a 5-point swing, and it cut the lead down to like 12 or 10 or 12 or something like that, maybe 13. But I was like, is that going to be the play or the sequence that gets Portland back in? And then they were like, nah, we're not gonna fight anymore. We're done. And they just rolled over like dogs. So I was glad about that. But there were sequences last night, even in the win, even in a blowout win, where you're like, ooh, that wasn't great.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the chat, starting with the super chat. Hold on, let me make my screen bigger. Even with the glasses, I tell you. Hakeem the Dream, 3298. Appreciate the generous super chat. Appreciate you rocking with us as well. The Knicks won't win a championship because Brunson and Towns are two of the worst defenders in the NBA. Brunson is a bigger liability than Cat and gets even more exposed against good teams. Yeah, listen, in the playoffs, they're going to put Brunson in a lot of action. It's one thing in the regular season. It's another thing in the playoffs, where teams really get to dial in on their, in their strategy. And I think that's part of what the Knicks have to think about right now. Do we feel like the way our defense is, that even with Cat and Brunson, even in the playoffs, if they target him, I think the way we're playing now, we can deal with that. That's the question that's on the table for the front office. Anything to add, Geoff?
And Brunson and Cat were on the floor against Detroit. They were on the floor against Boston. And, we won both of those series, and that was in the playoffs. So, we do have some sample size of the Knicks being able to survive their atrocious defense in a postseason atmosphere. Is it ideal? Maybe not, but the personnel is not changed to the point where we don't have similar players last year that can't do similar things. I think that Detroit poses extra problems this year than they have in the past. But look, if the communication on defense stays good, I think they have the capability to be all right. And you get, defense is different when you have to play the same opponent, 7 times or 4 times or whatever it is. In other words, teams, when you get to plays, they run the same actions. You're more familiar with their stuff. That's easy. You can focus and counter on specific things in a way that you can't when you're playing, the Nuggets one night and the Sixers the other night. Those teams attack completely differently. So it's not the same thing as saying, okay, we know we're going to have to deal with Jaylen Brown and Derek White. So, you know, let's key in and focus on what they do well. I think that's a little bit different situation than the night to night grind of the regular season. And we weren't outstanding defensively last year in the postseason, but I think that we've shown that we can do enough to win games in the postseason. And so, you know, whether we win enough to get where we want to go, that's a different question. I'm not sold that we can do that, but I don't think you can just lazily say, and I'm not accusing you of this, but of being lazy, but I'm saying I don't think we can just blanketly say that this team can't defend and write them off for that, because we've seen that they can.
Yeah. I'm in the middle, Geoff. I'm in the middle, because you talk about a good defense. We could talk about communication. It is important. We could talk about effort. That is important also. But execution and personnel matters too. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I do agree with you. I do think the Knicks ratcheted up the defense in the playoffs, particularly Cat, in terms of his rotations and being where he was supposed to be. But there were also times when, whether on the pick and roll, where Cat was just hit or miss. But I thought he was better in his effort, and I thought he was better in his rotations in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting, because personnel does matter, but communication helps. Having more effort helps, and having more, you brought this up earlier, want to, buying into the system and that wanting to matters.
And the lineup versatility helps too.
And the lineup versatility, and that's on Mike Brown. Correct. That is correct. All right. Let's see what else. Let's see what else we have. JJ, rocking with us. Appreciate you. Only negative I have was Brown had starters in the game up 30 with like 4 minutes left. Very Tibbs-like. Yeah, I thought that too. Also, JJ, Cat, great on the boards again. I just don't know why he keeps missing so many bunnies. Too many misses nowadays right at the rim. And not just that. Any little blow of the wind, the ball comes flying out of his hand. I'm like, I mean, I get it. They're swiping down and what have you. I just, can you grip it? You know what I mean? Couldn't grip it. There's any little thing, the ball has to come rolling out off the court. That is very frustrating. He's underneath the basket, and somebody just, it's a tap to me, but he could be getting mauled down there. And the ball comes flying out. Like, that is really, really frustrating for me. East Blue Drew. And why does, when Kolek comes in, our guys just get extra energy? It's starting to remind me of IQ. Okay.
I'm not sure he's the defender that IQ was, but okay. From a playmaking standpoint, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Jamrock always. Can we just get back to the defensive rating we were at 20 games ago? About 112. That's a top 10 defense. I hope so.
It's about where we are again, isn't it? I mean, I think that's this last stretch has really elevated us close to that, if not there. So yes, we can.
I still want to see some of this defense against better teams. Well,
amen.
You will have your wish.
Yeah. We may not see it, but they're going to have a chance at any rate. He may not get his wish. He wants to see the defense. I don't know if it's going to be there or not. But
I mean, and different teams are going to pose different challenges, right? With LeBron and Luka, you got two ball dominant guys who can also see the floor. So the Knicks, they and can pick apart any over rotation. So
which we love to do.
Yeah, which we love to do. Each team is going, though I think we've been a bit more disciplined, but not 100% for sure.
That goes back to the communication, though. When you're talking properly, you're like, no, I don't need help, or I do need help. You know what I mean? Listening to those things and getting to the right spot. That's all about communication. So I find that fascinating that the Knicks kind of spoke that out loud, what we've been kind of saying all along.
Yes. Great point, Geoff. Kerry Cox, Cat is more aggressive. Bridges been getting on him for months now. Yeah. Yeah. Holiday is done. He is a coach in waiting. Listen, be weary of veteran guys on bad teams. It's possible that a player can look better on a good team in a reduced role. Again, if he was even this age and not making the money he was, and we can get him to play 14 to 18 minutes on this team, I would do it. I think the only thing for me is the 34 million.
Yeah. Do you want to pay 34 million for a guy who you don't not playing half the game? That you know what I mean? You just kind of have to give him a bigger role if you're going to be paying him that kind of dough, I would think. But I mean, I guess you don't have to, but I would think that you would. But I guess one other thing that I forgot to mention is congratulations to Jalen Brunson on 10,000 point club.
Yes.
He breached that milestone. I forgot to mention that, so bad job by me. But I think that's a pretty awesome club to be in for him, and what a nice achievement, and kudos to him. And I thought it was really an interesting dynamic after the game. Cat comments where he's like, I don't want to talk about my rebounds. Nobody cares about that. I want to talk about 10,000 points, and being really deferential to the captain and what he did. And really, I don't know that, or, it's words, and words are just that, but that kind of sacrifice and attitude, I think is helpful to the team as a whole. And I thought Brunson's response, where he was very complimentary of Cat, was also an important dynamic moving forward.
Yes. Now, if he could just hit him with a few more passes off the
notice that he can score too.
Right. A-Train, great basketball mind, big part of our community, resident comedian as well. Shout out to you. I'm not a fan of players who up their game when their names are in trade talks. Makes me question their competitive integrity. I agree with that. And I would also add players who up their game when they're playing against their old team. Like, okay, I mean, I'll take it. But I want to see that focus, or whatever it is that's getting you up for that game. Can we see more of it on an every game basis? So yeah, I'm with you.
Especially since once the trade deadline passes, does that mean you just go back into hibernation, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm good. I can just go back to, playing out the string and not doing what I'm supposed to, as opposed to, being a real contributor. So yeah, A-Train, that's a great point. And, I think that's something that we're going to have to watch from Mikal Bridges if he's still on this team for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then the flip side is they could also be up in their trade value. Even though these players are known. I think if you're trading for anybody on the Knicks, you know who they are. Rodney, if Cat has some physical limitations because of his injuries, he should let it be known. I hear you. I hear you.
But if he's playing hurt, credit to him, right? To me, that's more admirable, to play hurt and not let anybody know. Is you know what I mean? Because that means you're not using it as a crutch or an excuse. You're just going out there and playing through it, and just be like, I'm going to do the best I can for my team. In my opinion, I'd rather that than say, oh, my thumb hurts, oh, my back, oh, I don't make the excuses. If you're good enough to play, you're good enough to play, and if you're not, you're not. And clearly he is, and he's contributing. You don't have to score You don't have to score a bunch to be a massive contributor, and he's been a vital part of the last 2 wins, and not just those, more than that, but specifically the rebounding in the last 2 games has been at a more than an elite level.
Yeah, for sure. DJ Shuttle, shout out to you again. Diawara was seemingly benched for a while. Not sure what that was. His defense and hustle is valuable. It is, and we talked about it earlier. It definitely is. Just comes with some other stuff that if you're gonna play young players, you gotta eat it. Um, Shout out to Shot Powers. Let's get it. If you haven't already, definitely check out Knicks Real Talk with Shot Powers and Divine. That's my go-to for the Knicks pregame show. I love the analysis and how balanced it is, and it just gives me pumped up, pumped up for the Knicks. So shout
Amen
out
to that. Those 2 very talented basketball minds. Good stuff always comes from that show.
for sure. East Blue Drew playing the kids is going to be situational with Mike. True. I'm okay with that. Let me know in the chat if you're okay with them being situational, or if you feel like for at least one of them, if not 2, but for at least one, you would like to see them consistently in the rotation. And somebody was
keep in
asking
mind too, their minutes were available because Deuce was not.
right.
It wasn't like all hands were on deck and the kids got minutes. The kids are getting minutes because of the situation, and the situation is that McBride is unavailable. So just keep that in mind. I think they played great, but keep in mind why they were in the lineup.
Right, but even when Deuce is healthy, it's still 8.
Yeah.
Like, you can argue that it can be, stretched a little bit for, for one of them.
Fair.
But Brown, listen, when you lose like the Knicks was losing, sometimes you got to go 7.
Tighten it
When
up.
you're losing, you got to tighten it up for a little bit. All right. Somebody asked about Kevin McCullough. I can't find the chat. I mean, the comment. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I think he was on the injury report, though. He might be injured.
I'm not sure. I don't pay it that close attention.
Yeah. Stop giving Cat the ball at the top of the key when he has a guard guarding him. Run a back screen with one of the guards and plant himself in the low post play. And this is not, now, I don't know if this is just scheme. We need that space, keep him at the top, or if this is just the Knicks' lack of process and recognizing that he has the advantage. I'm not sure.
Well, but if you have a guard on you at the top of the key, just rise up and shoot. Like, he can't stop you, right? Like you're like, recognize the mismatch and what's going on. That's not the player you want to bully and back down. Just rise up and shoot. You got a clear look at the goal. What are they going to do if you've got someone who's a Mighty Mouse on you? Like, punish the defense.
Him at the top of the key, like say that player is squared up. You want him to just pull up 4-3?
Towns, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good at above the break threes. I got no problem with that. I'd rather him do that than try and dribble around him and turn the ball over, or have one of his layups that end up with him sitting on the cameraman.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is if Rodney Poole is trolling us or if he's serious. Sign Elfrid Payton, man, he will lead us to the promised land. I don't know if that's about Payton himself, or is that about just having a Payton-like guard where Brunson can play off ball and could play defense. I'm hoping that's what he's talking about, but
yeah, I've had my fill of watching Elfrid Payton in a Knick uniform. I don't need to see that again. If you want to say that there's someone of a similar archetype that we can bring in, okay, I'm willing to listen, but I don't. Let's not bring back Elfrid.
And I think he's serious. Jalen Brunson can play behind Elfrid Payton, and Elfrid Payton as our first option behind Jalen Brunson is an instant dime. So 2 different. Jalen Brunson, well, one was Jalen. Okay, so maybe he was just clarifying. Yeah. Anyway, listen, that comment is an indication of how we accept all opinions here on this show, right? Whatever you have to say about the Knicks, whether we agree or disagree, if we can, we're going to do our best to get to it. Elfrid Payton, wherever he is, blessed and stay in place. Two Knicks chicks, nice 5-game win streak, but the next 4 LA, Denver, Detroit, and Boston games will be a challenge. Is the Joker is still out, right?
No, he's came back last. He'll be there.
Madison Square Garden. How long has he been back? He's been back for a while.
One game.
I
think the last game he
needed that
to win over the Clippers. He had to get there. Reeves is the one who's waited just till the Knick game. He'll be active on Sunday, but he hasn't played in a month of Sundays. So lucky us. But you know what? Just we have enough talent to beat whoever. We just have to do our things, and I think we're okay. We just don't always do that.
Yeah. Darkosaurus Rex, man, he on here. David Smith mini when it comes to the to the young guys. Play them kids, get them wins. Definitely hear you. Jamrock always about Drew Holiday. Would you trade Mikal to Portland? Do you think that's smart as a fan base? That would be a massive downgrade. Yeah. I would say about any of these trades, I wouldn't think player for player. I would think what it brings to the team overall. And obviously I'm not in favor of Drew only because of the age and the money. Early in the season, I would say Bridges was near untouchable. I don't know who Bridges is. I just don't. And
I don't think you make that trade unless you're getting Giannis also. I don't think they're just getting that would be a strange thing to just, and it would be a misuse of resources to in my opinion to get Holiday in hopes of getting Giannis. I think it only happens if you are sure that that other pieces of the puzzle is coming, and it kind of, but then you're reshaping your entire roster. So I don't know if they want to do that either. But again, I would be shocked if it was just the Drew Holiday deal and nothing else. That would I would question that.
I wouldn't even do it unless it's a 3-team. I wouldn't even we're going to do this first and then we're going to do, if it's not a 3-team trade where I'm guaranteed to get Giannis, I'm not doing it because things can fall through, things can fall through the cracks. But to my point, if the Knicks can get better by moving off of Bridges, and it makes financial sense and it makes the team better, do it. Drew Holiday for him straight up, I don't think that does. Charles Turner, I believe that's the third. They need reinforcements if we don't trade for Giannis. So still thinking, if I'm hearing you correctly, that we still need to make some moves around the edges. Okay. Great take debate, Geoff. From Detroit Pistons fan, dropping by. I think his brother or cousin is a Knicks fan. Appreciate you dropping by. Geoff, I hope the Knicks just get a little more physical. My Pistons beat up on Curry, Draymond. Horrors knowing age can be a factor sometimes. Yeah.
I can attest to the age being horrors, but the age being a factor sometimes. Queen and I were talking about that before we got on the show, but I too would like to see the Knicks be a little more physical, but I'm not sure that's in their DNA. I don't think this Knicks team particularly likes to be very physical. I don't think that's Bridges certainly doesn't, and I don't think that's really OG's forte either. And Cat is not that either. So, and Robinson is an excellent defender, but I don't know that he's super physical either. He can play physical and it doesn't bother him, but I don't think if you were listing his number one traits, if you would just put physicality at the top of the list or not. So I'm not sure we have the personnel to be really physical, and I don't think we would get the whistle to be really physical. I mean, did you see what Minnesota was able to do to SGA and the Thunder the other night? Like,
I didn't see it.
DiVincenzo was slapping SGA around, not getting a call, and Anthony Edwards had a similar experience. I was like, wow, I wish we got to defend like that, literally just pushing and slapping and hitting. I was like, man, I want to be able to defend like that.
In the playoffs, though, the Knicks upped their defense. I think playing against Detroit in the first round helped, and they somewhat maintained that throughout. And I think in the playoffs, the whistle, the refs kind of swallow the whistle a little bit. I agree, we're not a super physical team, but hopefully we'll pick that up in the playoffs. Jamrock always, Brunson is in the 1 percentile defensively. Okay. OG Curry Talk TV. Knicks won the last 5 games because of Brunson's defense. So we have some different opinions on Brunson's defense. There's Brunson's defense overall, and then there's Brunson's defense of late. And I think you have to separate the two. I think he's been better of late.
Since the Dallas game when we got boat raced, then he kind of talked to the guys on the bench like, this is ridiculous. Like, guys, we have to show some professional pride. And they have, to their credit, since that point, they really have.
Yeah. Nick Yak, appreciate you. Kolick 36% threes. Now is huge. Yeah, you got to respect him when he's out there.
38 would be better, but yeah, 36 is playable.
A-Train, they don't have to be great defensively, but consistently good. Yeah, you know what, sis? I'm with you on that. Let's see. I think. Okay, about Cat not having any. I don't know if Cat ever have lift. Do you think Cat is like, does he look more stiff than usual, less fluid than usual, less lift than usual to you?
It really doesn't to me. It looks like he's getting the same shot diet that he always was, and it looks like he's shooting the same shots he always has. It just looks like they're not going in. It's not noticeable athletic difference to me. I mean, he's getting the shots he wants, and as far as the above the break threes that he's he was fantastic at those last year, and it has not been a part of his arsenal this year. So I haven't seen that, but I'm probably not the best one to diagnose that. Like, that's not something that I typically can decipher just from watching the game, unless it's like, dog track time, they've fallen off the cliff and, it's time to pack them up and get them out of here. And it's certainly nothing like that with Towns.
Yeah. Wiz, appreciate you. Tibbs would have had the starters in with 1 minute left. 4 minutes is showing respect and caution, since we once almost blew a 20-plus lead with 3 minutes left. Josh had to give his child to Mitch and play. It's overkill, Wiz, for both Tibbs and Brown, because we've lost leads under Thibodeau as well. That could justify him, that you could say justifies him leaving them in. I just think it's overkill on both parties. Nick Yak, defense minutes, Shamit is a big improvement over Clarkson defense for sure.
Not sure I remember what Clarkson minutes are like. It's been a while.
Yeah. Ajay says, I'm on the turnpike, had to pull over just to salute my Dope Soul fam and let y'all know that the Knicks watch our shows. Yeah. I hope they do, man. I hope they do. If that's the case, the defense is going to get even better. The offense is going to improve. Cat is going to be more involved. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We go to Sherwin for measurements. and we go to
We do.
Dopesaurus Rex on the availability of our young guys.
It's good to have people to go to. We have, every team needs go-to guys, and we've got Sherwin and Dorkosaurus. That's what makes the team work, baby. That's the oil that keeps the engine running.
So collective, right?
Shout out to the collective right there. You guys are awesome.
Kevin McCullough Jr. is out with a calf injury. All right.
So he's baby Giannis.
Kim Doc in the house. Appreciate you, sis. 5 in a row playing for each other. Absolutely. You could definitely see a turn, like Geoff said, in the communication and just the body language. And seems like we've turned the corner. Wow, I didn't know this. Paul George suspended 25 games for violating the anti-drug policy. Wow. Okay.
And it didn't look like it was helping his game much because I haven't seen it having much effect on the court. But that may be a blessing in disguise for the Sixers. I don't know, but that's a shame. Paul George was a really good player once upon a time.
Yeah, and they're still better with him than without him. Yabusele for Dalen Terry, best upgrade for us. Yeah, I like Dalen Terry.
Why did they do that though? Why are they giving? Right.
I don't know. I don't know if the story is real, but I trust Kim Dot. A-Train, Geoff, I agree. I see Geoff. Geoff don't star no other comments in the chat unless it's praising him in his comments. I'm starting to notice, Geoff.
Yeah, that's it. You got me.
Geoff, I agree. Why bring the ball down low to the advantage of the smaller guard defender when you can rise up and shoot over him? That's true. That's true. And you could do that in whether he's at the top of the key or whether he's in the post. Even when he's in the post, I'm like, why are you banging around? You got touch and height. Turn around and shoot it. Wiz, I met Kolik's high school friend and neighbor who said she would have him listen in. So let's make sure we let him know how much Knick fans love him, especially Darkosaurus. Well, if he listened in today, he got his praise. He's been playing well the past 2 games. Overall on the season, ups and downs, which you can expect from young guys. That's just what it is. But I think for Kolek, it's been more positive minutes than not over the course of the season. And that shooting is coming around. His defense is better than advertised. So yeah, shout out to him. The Paul George story flashed on ESPN. Sis letting you know it's legit. All right. R.I.P. Retire in peace.
Amen.
Drew Holiday looked great, still coming off that injury. Okay. All right. Anything else you see, Geoff, other than those, praising you in your comments?
Being falsely accused here. I can't believe this. I can't beat the allegations. What's going on here?
Did DJ Shuttle post the Barbados link? DJ Shuttle, if you I'll get it for the next time. But DJ Shuttle, if you still around, and you could get that link in quickly before we go off, I'll definitely post it. If not, I'll post it on the next show. Looking forward to that that week, that 4-day weekend in August.
And that's pre-season. That's before the season, so ain't no worries about.
Right. I hear you. All right. Wiz, we get it. Tibbs wasn't your favorite guy, and every time you get an opportunity to hype up Mike Brown, you're gonna hype up Mike Brown. I hear you. He took it to Tibbs. He took it to the 2-minute mark. Tibbs never took it to any mark. There's a slight difference. Okay, I get you. He's still my guy. All right. Any last words?
No,
I missed this.
Just that this is crazy. I love it's like an all-star cast in the chat. We had two Knicks chicks. We had DJ Shuttle and Jerrell was in the house and as long as the
pulled over.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But did he pull over and hit the like button? That's what we need to know. He pulled over, made a comment, but did you hit that like, AJ? We're watching you, bro. We're watching you.
Right.
No, but thank y'all for spending your Saturday morning with us and taking the time and you make it better. And even the cat wants to be on the show. So but thanks as always, Steph. We went a little bit later because of work, but good to have everybody here and good to be back on the winning track. These shows are a lot easier when we winning.
That's a fact. I appreciate you, Geoff, as always. Me and Ajay, I'll check with him, but we should do the Monday preview show. Anybody who wants to join, get an opportunity with these 3 games coming up next week: Denver, Detroit, Boston, kind of where they are now statistically, narrative wise, what's going on around them, and just kind of talk about what we want to see from the Knicks. I find when I do those shows, because a lot of research goes into those shows, it really helps me assess the Knicks. Because if you know you're playing a team that's just a juggernaut from the 3-point line, and then the Knicks hold them to 30%, you're like, whoa, or even 5% below. So just getting a sense of who the other team is just really does help with the analysis. So we're going to do that show Monday. We'll talk matchups. We'll talk a lot of things. It should be a lot of fun, particularly with this week coming up. All right. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate the replay gang. As always, 2 Knick chicks was with us. Kim, Doc, A-Train. Gotta shout out to Sis, man. That joined us. And if I missed any, I don't think I missed anybody this show. But I appreciate you. Latoria B usually rocks with us as well. I definitely appreciate that. Pam Willis sometimes will drop in. I appreciate everybody who drops in, but I do want to acknowledge the sisters that
Wonder Woman always here.
Wonder Woman, Geraldine, MacGyver, as well. We got a lot of women who are silent listeners, as well, who may not comment in the chat, may not even comment in the replay game, but they do listen in the background. Shout out to all our silent listeners, by the way. Anyway, until next time, family, appreciate you.
Sister, you're one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?